I had offered to look after my sister's house while she and her husband attended a week-long conference in Brussels. It seemed like the perfect chance to get away, to disconnect. Her home was spacious, calm, surrounded by greenery, just me and silence, or at least that's what I thought. On the third day, I received a message. Liam is coming home earlier than expected. He cut his vacation short. Could you prepare the guest room for him, Liam? My nephew, 22 years old, tall, charming, with light brown messy hair and eyes full of fire and calm all at once. He'd been studying in Amsterdam, and I hadn't seen him in almost a year. A wave of unexpected anticipation stirred inside me. He arrived late that night, past midnight. Rain tapped on the windows as I heard the door open. He came in with a backpack on one shoulder, his hair damp, eyes heavy with travel fatigue. When he saw me, he smiled wide, genuine, my favorite aunt, he said, embracing me warmly. I wasn't sure why, but that touch lingered in my skin longer than it should have. We stayed up talking in the kitchen. He told me about Barcelona, about parties, friends, wandering through unfamiliar streets. His voice had matured, and now and then he'd glance at me in a way that made my chest tighten. Maybe it was my imagination, but that night as I lay in bed, I couldn't shake the way he looked at me. The next morning, he came down wearing a simple t-shirt and sweatpants, hair still tousled, voice rough from sleep. As we sat at the table, sipping coffee, I noticed how often he watched me, as if he were trying to read between my words or feel something I hadn't said. After breakfast, we went out into the garden together. I was pulling weeds from the flower bed while he helped clear some fallen branches from the previous night's storm. There was something soothing about sharing that quiet physical work. From time to time, our eyes met, short, loaded glances that said far more than words. He offered to prune the climbing roses. I watched him reach up, shirt clinging slightly to his back, and for a moment I had to look away, afraid that my thoughts were betraying me. Later, we cooked lunch together. I teased him about his cutting skills. He accused me of being a perfectionist. When I wiped a spot of sauce from his cheek with my finger, he looked at me, really looked. It lasted too long, and neither of us mentioned it. His gaze stayed on me for a moment. After, he didn't smile. He just observed like he was learning something new about me. That evening, we curled up on the couch with a blanket and tea to watch a movie. Our arms brushed occasionally. There were moments I felt his breath hitch, and mine did too. Then he said, "Do you remember when I used to fall asleep on your lap as a kid?" I smiled softly. "You've grown too fast." He held my gaze. "But you haven't changed. You're still just as beautiful." A shiver ran through me. Not the kind you shake off, the kind that settles deep. He leaned slightly, resting his hand over mine. "Tell me to stop," he whispered. I didn't. He moved closer, brushed my cheek, then my hair. His breath was warm against my skin. There was no rush, no trespassing, just tension, honest, slow-burning tension. After a few heartbeats, he stood. "Good night, Auntie," he said. With a tender smile, I didn't sleep that night. The next day felt the same, but everything had changed. Every word, every glance had new weight. I spent hours avoiding him, pretending to tidy the garden, organize old papers, but I could still feel him in the air, in my pulse. That afternoon, I caught him sketching in the notebook he always carried. I had forgotten he liked to draw. When I approached, he closed it quickly. "It's nothing," he said, but I caught a glimpse, a drawing of me in the kitchen pouring tea. My heart stopped for a beat. It wasn't just accurate. It was full of affection, detail, emotion. That night, I was reading in bed when I heard footsteps, a soft knock. "Are you still awake?" I said, "Yes." He stepped in and sat on the edge of my bed. "I can't stop thinking about last night," he murmured. I nodded. "Me neither." He looked at me, his fingers finding mine. "This is crazy. I know it's not allowed, but it's real." I closed my eyes. I couldn't lie to myself when his lips barely touched mine. Something inside me unraveled. No rush, no promises, just two souls meeting in quiet fire. We lay there entangled, not going any further. Just his warmth, his breath, his fingers brushing through my hair, I drifted into the deepest sleep I'd had in months. The next morning, he had breakfast ready downstairs. "I wanted to make you smile," he said. We ate in silence, but the air between us felt softer, deeper. Later that day, we went for a walk in the woods behind the house. The trail was muddy, and we laughed as we tried to avoid puddles. At one point, I slipped slightly, and he caught me by the waist. We stayed like that for a heartbeat too long. I could feel his hands tighten around me before he let go. "You okay?" he asked. "Yeah, thanks." When we returned home, it started raining. We stood under the awning by the back door, soaked and breathless. Then, almost involuntarily, he brushed a strand of wet hair from my face. We didn't speak. We didn't need to. The following days passed like a dream. We didn't speak of that night, but everything, every meal shared, every walk, every smile carried a gentle electricity. One afternoon, while lying on the couch, he wrapped his arm around my waist. Without a word, I let him. We didn't sleep. We just existed together, perfectly in sync. One evening, while I was sitting on the porch swing lost in thought, he came out and sat beside me. "Do you regret anything?" he asked. I took a long breath. "No, I don't." "Do you?" He shook his head. "Never." When the day came for him to leave, I felt a sting. He packed in silence, slowly. Before stepping out, he hugged me tight, a long embrace that said everything we hadn't. "Thank you for this time, for being you," he whispered. I watched him walk away with a soft smile and a storm in my heart. Some moments don't repeat, but they stay etched in breath, in silence, in memory. Have you ever lived something you couldn't name but could never erase? Tell me in the comments. This is a safe space where stories matter more than judgment. Share your thoughts below. Hit like if a single moment ever changed everything. Share this video if you know that desire doesn't ask for permission, it just happens. Have you ever experienced something you can't explain but will never forget? Tell me in the comments. Here, we don't judge, we feel. Hit like if you've ever followed a feeling stronger than reason. Share if you believe desire isn't chosen, it finds you.